They shut him out. And then everything flipped in a way nobody in NASCAR was ready for. Not the garage, not the veterans, not the people who spent months saying he didn't belong. Nobody saw what came next. And that's exactly why this story feels bigger than it should. But hold on, because what you've heard so far, it's incomplete, and the missing piece changes everything. It all starts at Talladega, where this thing doesn't just begin, it detonates. Cleetus McFarland. 4.6 million subscribers. Real name Garrett Mitchell. Denied. Completely blocked from running the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race on April 25th. NASCAR reviewed his Rockingham weekend and decided it wasn't enough. Not enough progression, not enough proof. John Probst made it clear. Approved for ARCA, approved for trucks, approved for short tracks, but not Talladega, not yet. And right there, most people stopped paying attention. That was the headline, that was the narrative, blocked, end of story. Except it wasn't the end. That's where things start getting uncomfortable. Because instead of fading out, the entire situation escalated. Fast. Within days. No silence. No emotional rant. No poor me video. He did something else. Something nobody expected. He dropped one of the biggest moves of his entire career, and barely anyone understood what it actually meant. And this is where it gets serious. Because when you hear sponsorship deal, you probably think logos, decals, a patch on a suit, maybe a few posts. That's normal, that's safe. This was not that. On April 7th, Polaris announced a multi-year partnership with Cleetus McFarland. Not just him, his entire operation. Let that sit for a second. Reed Wilson, president of Polaris Off-Road Vehicles, didn't just endorse him. He basically admitted they couldn't stay on the sidelines anymore. Said they had to be part of it. And that line, that one sentence, tells you everything. Because they're not investing in a car. They're investing in his world. The Freedom Factory. The events. The chaos. The culture. The entire ecosystem he built from scratch. And that's the part nobody is really talking about. But it should make you pause. Because companies at that level don't gamble like that. They don't jump in unless they see something forming. Something real. And we're still not at the craziest part yet. Go back to Rockingham for a second, because this is where the tension splits in half. He runs ARCA East, finishes 4th, not lucky, not random, 4th. Same day, runs the O'Reilly debut, finishes 32nd, 6 laps down, messy race. Yes, he struggled. Yes, it wasn't clean. But here's the question nobody wants to sit with. He didn't wreck the field, he didn't destroy equipment, he didn't take anyone out. He finished. And earlier that same day, he ran 4th. Then he gets blocked. And that's where the conversation turns sharp. Because every week, you watch experienced drivers spin, crash, miss pit road, wipe each other out, and they're back the next race like nothing happened. So why does this feel different? That's the tension nobody can resolve. And then Steve O'Donnell steps in, NASCAR president, and suddenly, the tone shifts. He says they evaluate progression every race, says Cleetus is hugely popular, but standards matter. Fair enough. But then, he says something that changes the entire picture. He admits their R&D team watches Cleetus's videos. Think about that. Really think about that. That's not dismissal. That's not just a YouTuber. That's awareness. That's attention. That's value. That's NASCAR quietly acknowledging, this guy matters. And this is where things take a turn. Because while the internet was arguing, while everyone was locked into the Talladega decision, something else was happening. Something bigger. Cleetus wasn't waiting around. He was building Freedom Factory. April 10th. Same weekend as Bristol. Sold out. His own event. His own track. His own crowd. 26 drivers. Big names. Content creators. Veterans. 500 laps of chaos. While NASCAR was deciding if he was ready, he already had people showing up for him. That contrast is hard to ignore. And even when his night ended early, it didn't matter. Because the result wasn't the story. The control was, and that's not even the full picture. Because behind the scenes, he's expanding again. Late model chassis. Plans for a traveling series. layered events, multiple divisions. Not just racing in the system, building one next to it. And this is where it starts to feel different. Because most drivers are chasing opportunities. He's creating them. And the Polaris deal? It's not about money numbers. It's about what happened immediately. Vehicles delivered, equipment upgraded, infrastructure changed overnight. That's not marketing. That's investment. That's commitment. So now step back and look at this whole thing clearly. A creator gets blocked from one race, and instead of shrinking, everything around him grows louder. Bigger deals, bigger crowds, bigger conversations. That's not normal. That's the part nobody can explain, because rejection usually quiets people down. This did the opposite. And now you're left with something strange, something unfinished. Because Talladega hasn't even happened yet. The door isn't locked, it's just not open. Which means this story, it's still moving. And whether you think he belongs or doesn't, you can't ignore what's happening around him. So here's the real question. Is this a driver trying to get in? Or is this the start of something that doesn't need permission anymore? Because if this keeps going the way it is, the next move won't just surprise NASCAR. It might force everyone to rethink what this sport even is. And honestly, do you think they're ready for that?